Good afternoon.
Raz. Sorry, I didn't wear my shirt today. Apologies. I was at a meeting.
Don't worry. Next one, I'm going to bring my pink one.
At least
okay.
Bernard got the memo to wear
Bernard,
purple.
nice.
Is that your company colors?
Yes, that's the company color.
But there's no logo.
Yeah, there's no logo.
It's okay.
man.
I like purple.
Supposed to have
It's a
yeah.
good color.
We barely even introduced you because everybody knows you more than us.
No, you can introduce me formally. I always want to hear how I've been introduced. It's fun.
Bernard Leong.
Yes.
You should rattle off a few of your startups that you've started besides your latest.
Well, I'm currently the founder and CEO of DogeAI. I'm a host of Analyse Asia, and I'm an adjunct associate professor of NUS
But you've done some other startups, like people forget.
SG Entrepreneurs that got sold to Tech in Asia, in turn sold to SPH Media.
Yeah.
Then there was Chalkboard that failed, crash and burned. I raised from Joey Do and many of the core investors.
There was no VC in it, was there? It was just all...
Only Joey.
Only Joey.
Not any funds. Yeah. We weren't the one that returned the fund. It was Rasmik's company that did it.
Yeah, Rasmik with the video one.
Funny, Yassi was also in that batch too, with Animoca Brands. They essentially became now very big in crypto.
I know, I want to get...
How they respond to the failure? How they respond to the failure?
I don't... Well, they have been very helpful.
Okay.
I closed the company down pretty gracefully at that point in time, and everyone was very encouraging. Even some of them asked me, if you're starting something, come back to me. Although it took me another 12 more years, and there were bets putting on me. It's like, Bernard's not going to last 2 years in the corporate world. So they started to take bets, and then we went for 5, and then to like 10. I remember Smitty was like, when are you going to show up anyway?
Yeah, he was hiding. Yeah.
And then this is the question we need to ask sometime. You know? What happened after the failure?
Yeah, they're just like, not everyone wants to talk about him, but
I'll tell you something I do, actually.
But I would say, he's still doing startups. Like, it didn't keep you from it.
So
right?
I'll tell you something interesting during that period when that failure, right?
Okay.
So one of the side things I've started doing, because also in appreciate to some of the investors, I started helping some of these founders who have zombie companies. So what zombie companies are, they are startups. They started very young, but soon they have kids, family, and they cannot run their startups, and startups are failing. So I spent some time counseling them to shut down, because I actually shut down relatively quickly when we were like, at least we had 3 months payroll to pay out the severance.
Yeah, and I think one thing that people seem to forget sometimes is there's a process, right?
Yes.
From legal things you need to do, financial, and it costs you money to actually go through it. And I always tell people, like, if you run your money right down to the end, you actually have a problem because you need to pay for all the wind up.
Yes, correct.
But they became zombie because of their families? Or?
No, they became zombie because they started the company, they built a story, they had media presence, but then that was actually, the business is not really working. They try different things. So some of these founders, I got them corporate roles that goes into, say, digital transformation, head of innovation. Turns out that period when I joined Singapore Post, there were a lot of companies looking for former startup founders to join. So I help all these what I call zombie startup founders to look for sort of flight to safety. And essentially some of them I've seen them after a few years, they just became startup founders again. So
we need to reset sometime. And like I always tell people, like, refill the tank is also like mentally, physically, and monetarily, because it's not like they're making money, right? And I think some of these, because I've had some I've taught, their family's under pressure too, right? Because they can't afford Singapore on zero.
Cost of living.
It's part of the package. Family is part of the package.
It's tough, right?
I think I also planned before doing this current startup that I'm running 2 companies. There is also the corporate teaching business that I'm running through DogeAI Media, which is actually Analyse Asia's podcast holding company. But that is profitable versus now I'm dealing with a startup that I have to build from scratch with some initial seed funding, but I plan not to raise any more money.
Where does the media company make money from? Ads?
Corporate teaching? No. It's purely teaching for corporations. Well, you do know that I was once the head of AI/ML for AWS Southeast Asia.
There's training stuff going on.
Yes, but also because some of our former customers come to me and say, hey, Bernard, now you're out, maybe you can help us to strategize properly, help us to look at our AI costs. Can you help us to train us in generative AI?
But you focus it mostly on AI type of things.
It's mostly on generative AI. I caught it early. I was teaching in the university, so it gave me a lot of credibility. And also the university have given me opportunities to teach in other parts of Asia Pacific. I've taught in Philippines, I've taught in Dubai, I taught the UAE government, in addition to the Singapore government. So same set of problems, but very different perspectives.
And then some of the corporate jobs, SingPost, Airbus, AWS.
Yeah, those were the years of wilderness.
What was the other? The
Wahub, yeah. They were the largest Singapore construction conglomerate that built the Gardens by the Bay, Jewel, and Interlace.
Yeah.
Amazing.
But you get like, you know, a nice keiretsu of startups, enterprise, government, affiliated enterprises. It gives you a lot of experience, right?
Yes, it gives you a lot of perspective on how big corporations work and how they think. And some of the problems that I'm trying to solve now for DogeAI actually came from...
That's what I'm saying. From
those problems I've seen when I was in the corporations.
Places, right? Yeah.
And I was like, why am I dealing with this problem over and over again?
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. So we skipped a bunch of stuff,
go for it.
But we'll start. What AI thing do you use kind of every day?
Everything. I use Claude AI every day. I'm a Claude Max user. I use it for 3 things. One of them is the podcast post-production.
Yeah.
So when you get the transcript, I actually have a workflow now that totally helps me to make some suggestions on how to select the quote of the day, followed by the timestamps and the episode summary, then followed by the refined transcript.
And you found Claude works better for that than other things?
Much better, actually.
Really?
Because it tends to have this feature of asking me clarifying questions. Do you want me to remove filler words? Do you want me to do ums and ahs in the transcript? How do you want the format? Sometimes it even tells me things like, it's Bernard and Michael Smith, and then it's like, I need to put your full name correct. Can you make sure the edits? Yeah. So with that workflow now, I think post-production becomes much easier.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing the difference.
Which
ship
model?
an episode.
Sonnet?
I'm just using Sonnet. Yeah. Sometimes I use Claude for data science visualization or process flow. So in my business, is because I'm serving a medium-sized enterprise, so I deal with CFOs where they will give me a financial workflow. So one of the workflows I like to use is Alter, where I'll capture the conversation, of course with their permission. Nowadays, I actually have to ask, can I capture this with your permission? Then look at all the things they talk about in the business process, and then use the large language model to help me to try to plan out what that process look like in visualization.
Do they, most of them approve to take the capture? I'm just
yes,
thinking about
that's why you have to ask them.
Yeah,
that's why you have to ask them. When you do the call, right?
But they say okay?
They say okay because we are scoping a problem. Okay. Because we're doing actual problem use case scoping, and the author version I paid is the enterprise version. So when it comes for enterprise version, a lot of tools these days will guarantee that the data will not be used for training. So I think that's part of the SLA. I think you see ChatGPT for enterprise is the same as well.
Correct. No, I think the concern is basically on, I'm coming from cybersecurity aspects, which is data privacy.
That's right.
All these type of things. And, it's important for the business from one side. The other side is like, I might say something, that the corporate will not like.
Yeah. So when I made a conscious effort to tell the person I'm doing the recording, this is to scope the project. You might have to tell me your workflow, the features. Can you tell me some of the problems you face, some of the maybe exceptions? So one of the beauty of using that is I can actually scope out a statement of work relatively quickly, just with the conversation itself by asking the correct questions. I haven't used it once for investor call.
You're doing what Builder.ai raised like $100 million for, right? Listen.
Yes, less than that. I only raised less than a quarter of a million.
Listen to the product description and then stub it out, right?
Which product do you use for capturing the call?
Otter.
I
think I'm now trending towards maybe making a change to Gemini's transcript or read.ai or Phantom. I see that them being used a lot more by a lot of my customers. Surprisingly, I'm not the one who use it. Sometimes I even ask my customer, can I get the transcript from you instead? Because I want to see the difference. Yeah, to compare the transcripts. And usually what I do is I have a workflow that's already connected to Claude. And then I will ask Claude to look at both transcripts and say, can you make sure that what is not captured is put together and show me a full set of the transcript? And what are the key things I should be looking at?
Yeah. Let's speak about your company.
Yes.
So you describe
DogeAI.
DogeAI as, I'm just going to quote you, ERP less word.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
It's going to be a bit provocative to say it, but let's say if you can kill, ERP model.
That's actually where the starting point was.
Yeah. What would you kill? Is it like HR, finance?
So when I thought
Start
about
with SAP's in-memory database that doesn't scale well.
Yes, that's where actually I'm starting. So it's actually, when you think of an enterprise resource planning system, you're always thinking about everything. You're thinking about HR, IT, supply chain, warehouse management, inventory management. But actually underlying the most important part of the ERP is the finance. So for this period, for where we are now, I'm only focusing on finance automation. I have not yet built the ledger. So what is interesting for me now is that actually I've encountered these problems many times. So what happened was I always try to build workflow processes outside of the ledger. So I've done it outside of SAP, outside of Oracle, NetSuite, outside of all the other ERP systems that are in the market. So one question that I really wondered for a very long time is why no one challenged these software systems? That was, when I was in 2014, when I was an angel investor, I met this VC, but I cannot remember who that was. And I asked him, so what kind of companies are you looking out for? And that VC just said to me, never pitch me an ERP. that 5 words just etch on my mind. It's like, when someone says that something never, there is an opportunity there. It's kind of like my whole entire journey is always about somebody saying, this cannot work.
But it's not in their investment strategy.
Yes, it's not in there.
How are you going to break it?
So to break it is actually interesting. So there's a why now
Correct.
for DogeAI. So
Classic.
For a very long time, I thought, yes, he's right. There's probably no way to deal with SAP, Oracle. They have network effects. They have all the things, correct pricing, etc. That is when generative AI showed up. So the 2 biggest problems in ERP is the following. You're always trying to take your business processes and map it into SAP's business logic. And that's why a lot of the ERP implementations fail. Similarly for Dynamics, similarly for Oracle as well. Some ERPs were successful because they were willing to bend the rules to follow that logic. So the first thing is generative AI has now allowed you to be able to customize different workflows and help you to make those changes using AI agents. So that's the one layer. The second layer, I think, is the ledger. So one of the things that happened in 2017 is not the transformer paper, but there is a new ledger design that came out for the ERP side. And it's using something called events-driven architecture. And one of the theses I have is to build towards that kind of architecture. And what is beautiful was that when that happened, you need to think about the counter positioning. I don't know how familiar are you with Hamilton-Helmers 7 powers. Hamilton-Helmers 7 powers is about how companies can differentiate. So one of the most important startup power that you must have is called counter positioning. That means at the beginning, you design your business model to be contrarian against the big guys. At first, they would just keep ignoring you. But once the business model becomes significantly dangerous, they will start to emulate you. But in their side, they will end up cutting their costs and ends up going into a death spiral for themselves. So if you look at all the business models of, say, SAP, Oracle, they are all using license per user. So for DogeAI, what we are doing is a pay-as-you-go model. And we deploy the ERP on your cloud, your security, your credentials. But we run the workflows using our own agentic library. And hopefully, if we can get most of the financial process done, then we will insert the ledger that we wanted to design.
Let's double-click on pay-as-you-go. How does it go?
Right. So now instead of trying to charge per user, we should let everyone in the company based on different access controls to use it. So that's number 1. Okay. Number 2 is we base on task. So give a very simple workflow. Say I have a vendor payment. So I have the invoice coming in, invoice extraction, AI OCR, person human in the loop look at the invoice, then pass it for approval. Approval is done, and then post it into the ledger. At this instant, because we don't have our own ledger, you post it into maybe a Xero, QuickBooks, or NetSuite, just for integration. But sometimes we have some very interesting, weird things happen. Like, for example, you have a car company who actually doing car washes. They got the invoices, but they also have a spreadsheet that has all the cars numbers the cars that they wash, and they need the accounts payable accountants to cut and paste from that spreadsheet. So part of the idea is that we actually use the agentic AI to run through the spreadsheet to make the extraction for the person. So the person that cut and paste job is taken away, And usually in the companies we serve is about medium size. They tend to have about less than 10 people in the finance team. So doing this kind of cut and paste work from suddenly you go from 300 invoice to 3,000 invoice is crazy. And that's why they want the kind of automation we provide for them. And of course, the most important thing is they don't want to use an AI OCR SaaS solution, because when you move from 300 invoice, it's not an issue. When you go into 3,000 invoice, basically your entire financial data becomes training data for the AI OCR company. So that is also when these customers decide to move it to the cloud, move it to their own cloud with the AI OCR solution running in their cloud.
So use their own model, use their own tenants model, do it all there.
We help the customer to select models. So because we orchestrate through AWS, we could also orchestrate in Google, GCP or Azure. So we pick whichever, Oracle, OCH as well.
Just FYI.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we would be able to use the best models. Could be a Claude, could be a Mistral, could be even the local models, Cohere, for example, on there.
And I think this pricing switch is like a thing that's going to kind of start to happen to everybody over time. I'm sure the incumbents don't want to see a change because it's like a per seat type of model, right? But I think as more people build around these things, or platforms like yourself, you kind of don't need that model because you're starting from scratch. I think that's going to be interesting pressure into the whole ecosystem.
So a lot of people wonder, how do you come to this pricing model? So I'm probably one of the few people who have read the history of SAP. There's actually one book. You can buy it on Amazon.
How many pages?
Probably about 200 over pages.
Okay.
Interesting story. SAP founders were IBM consultants. 1 sales guy, 6 tech guys. They were selling servers to German financial institutions. And then what happened was they all got fired because IBM was doing very well for the US, because US financial institutions can use the servers and do their own financial accounting, but the Germans couldn't. So what the founder did was, hey, you know what? What we see from our learning from our sales motion is that actually these guys couldn't use the server because there's no accounting solution. So he went back to IBM and said, hey, let's do a deal. I'll be your reseller. I will sell the servers for you, but we'll be running on our accounting software. So that was how SAP started. So I asked the same question today. I say, if I am a person today like the SAP founder with a couple of engineers, what would I be doing? So I remember I used to work for the cloud company. Yeah. So I think maybe I have to build my companies on the cloud. So I need to build something like a new kind of SAP that works on the cloud, but do not compete against the cloud providers. I mean, Databricks, Snowflake, Datadog were all billion-dollar companies that came out from the cloud. MongoDB as well. So if you can start to reimagine what it looked like today, then that is where I discovered, yes, there's a model. So the business model and why now fits nicely, and that was why I started DogeAI.
Yeah, it makes sense. And this is how Snowflake actually created their pricing model.
Yeah.
So it's not, I always say, if you're inventing something that it's out of space, sometimes it's going to work, but sometimes you don't need to. Just look at other domains and use them to yours.
Correct.
No? This is what you actually thought.
I think it took me almost half a year I even went through all the SAP, Oracle's investor reports. I created even a custom GPT and analyzed their companies down to how their revenue structures work. So I actually came pretty prepared, but I will always say that there are 1,000 guys just like me trying to do the same thing. Only one of us will make it. I have to give it a shot.
Might be a few in each part of the world. So that's kind of jumps to the next thing. And this one could be a whole can of worms, but and we talked about this on our This Week in Asia reunion.
Yep.
Which we'll get that. When are you shipping?
Probably tomorrow.
Okay. Then I'm going to ship clips after that.
That would be great because I'm just getting all the preparation.
And they'll point to you.
Yes, my cloud is still running the workflow now. Yeah. It's almost done already.
Cool. You've done a few startups in the region.
Yes.
Some have exited, some have failed. You've taken VC money before. Yeah. You've taken angel money. I think, what are you doing with Dorje when it comes to how you look at the current world and the Southeast Asian ecosystem for what you've chosen to do, how you've raised funds and, B2B focus, things like that? Like what kind of lessons would you apply to all this?
So I'm pretty thankful. When I decided to do DogeAI, I went to the people who I used to work for. my first check, very lucky, came from Chi Bing. I think you probably know, who used to be the head of AWS for Singapore country.
Wow.
And how the meeting went was...
He just golfs now.
No, he just golfs now. But Chi Bing asked me what was the sales motion, what was the go-to-market, and I explained to him. He said, this is what you used to do in AWS. He said, I can trust you. Here's the check.
Yeah. And this is a pre-product?
Pre-product. I just explained the exact model. I just told
slides.
you. Yeah, it was just slides.
Usual
No. I did a video of the UI.
Yeah, but there's no product.
There's no product.
Oh, it's okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But the check size is usually 100K?
I think it's about 25 to 10. 10 to 25 is the correct number. So I went to a couple of angels who I actually backed as like the Lunch Actually founders, Akshay, and then even Adriel, who is running now Cloud Kitchen as well. Then I went to all my former bosses. Wolfgang, you probably know the former group CEO of SingPost. He wrote a check without flinching. Yeah. And so I'm quite glad Austin, who's from Wahab, the family, was also my angel investor as well. So
and you did it as a safe, or
it's just a basic safe, basically.
Basic safe.
So
there's no institutional capital.
No institutional capital. Orvel, would you consider as Orvel? Orvel VC, yeah.
I'm getting into the details so people can learn and
But there's no fund, right?
That was under Orvel's angel fund.
Got it.
So I basically created a safe. I raised it. I still do the same thing, the reporting of what we are doing, where we are, what our progress is. But there's one thing I did to my team, which I started to assemble, is that I told them this will be the only cash we will ever have. We have to try to break even, if not get profitable.
So you didn't go into it thinking, I'm going to go do a Series A after this?
No.
It's not even seed, it's safe, man.
This is it.
It's a pre-seed.
This is it, yeah.
And then what do you do with that? Like most people, like the normal process is another round. What are you going to do with these angels? So
the first thing I did was, at that stage when I raised, I already have customers. So I actually went out and talked to a couple of customers. I actually created a SOW for DogeAI, what the ERP system should look like. Then as I start to talk to different customers, they gave me some specifications. None of them actually include the ledger, but at least it's always about the workflows around the financial automation. And at that point, I think now today is quite prevalent, like AI agents, but at that point, I really sort of thought that there will come a time where you can actually use AI to do certain tasks. So I wanted to automate some of these tasks So essentially, I already got the SOW. So I went to one of my first customers and started building for them. So we're actually near a deployment for the first time. But of course, getting to production is the next question. Can I get to the production? And then how would I rinse and repeat for the next 2-3 customers who I'm now talking about?
But you see that as a almost part of your capital stack. Getting customers rather than raising more.
I mean, I'm a second-time entrepreneur, right? First-time entrepreneur looks for product market fit. Second-time entrepreneur looks for distribution. I find it actually very hard for me because I always am the type that build the product first and then go and look for the market. But this time I'm like position myself and say, hey, let's do the reverse. Let's just go out and talk to customers. Let the customers tell you what you have, but write your own SOW just to make sure that it's aligned, and then figure out if you can turn it into a product, or maybe DogeAI is somehow orchestration layer that can help to build up the application layer
for the systems they already have.
Yeah.
And the way I like to call it is problem market fit.
Yes.
Not a product market fit. I always say, it might be unpopular to say, but when you are a startup and you don't understand the problem, you do not do product market fit because you're not in the market.
Yeah, and that's what I'm very worried. I talked to some of the startup founders. They are always raising. They're always trying to raise to the next metric, and then some of them are now having
raise into it.
Yeah, raise into it, and then they are now starting to have trouble because the money in the region has dried up. So what I'm trying to tell them is you can actually be profitable. Just focus on the customers and not focus on trying to get to the next stage.
Yeah.
But this is the shift that like a lot of people are just missing. And I think given the state of funding and given the state of exits and stuff like that, this is more pragmatic. But I think to some people it seems to be less exciting or less headline driven, right?
Yeah, but I come to this conclusion that I need to be less headline driven now. Yeah.
It's focused on the business, right?
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? Like
I know.
What some people are looking for is.
And I think this is the right thing to do, because when you focus on the business, not the headline will come, if needed. It's fine. You're not going to ask for that.
So I actually not thinking so much of the headlines, I'm thinking about whether is it a venture backable business, to be fair, because I'm building something that's quite customized to companies, right? So the question is, can you actually build something that is rinse and repeatable and scalable? I think when I talk to some of the really smart women VCs in the region, they are asking me the right questions. Like they actually ask me about the business model very clearly. They ask me things like, do you think it's a venture backable business? I think that was a good debate to have. And I did tell them, I don't know. I need to find out. And I think you would be better if I come to you with, this is my revenue, this is my profit, this is my margin, this is why I'm going to take 40 million from you and go and do the same thing across 6 countries, than me still doing the 40 million but trying to find problem market fit.
And if you're not raising any more money, and say this works and you build a great business, what do you do with the angel investors? Like,
There are many paths, right?
Yeah.
So one way is to buy them back, probably of a certain multiple. That's one.
Pay interest and repurchase.
Pay interest, dividends. You can do that as well. It's not a bad word to say dividends, because my angels would be happy to even receive dividend, right?
But I think just all the mechanics that you would convert the SAFE to equity if you move down the dividend route.
That's
correct?
right.
But that's a margin.
Yeah. And hopefully but I would hope that I could to make sure that.
And did you find you had to explain to them that hey, I don't think I'm going down the venture capital path, therefore this will look a little different?
So I told them that I'm going to try to make it profitable.
Yeah.
I'm not going to try to raise as fast as I can.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is I'm not against raising at a later stage where I need the money. But what I want to do is I need to first make sure that this is a business that I can be sustainable without adding capital fire. Yeah. One of the things I feel very counterintuitive now, which I may be wrong, we can use this in a few years' time, and then you will say, Bernard, you're right or wrong. But I think great companies need a few years. And what I mean by a few years, Spotify took 4 years for product market fit, Figma, Canva as well. A lot of these great businesses require some time to actually allow you to experiment and think through. And the faster you can find revenue and you can make sure the burn rates are balanced, I think that's where you can actually think of what is the best product you can build for your customer.
Yeah, rather than targeted milestones for purposes of fundraising that tend to be more compressed.
Correct.
Right?
And especially living in Southeast Asia, right?
Yeah.
We don't have that. We don't have the luxury of, an Andreessen Horowitz will fly in and give you that 100 mil and suddenly you blast out of the window, right? But the point here is that I think moving forward, a lot of startup founders should learn to understand how to make money and how to get profitable.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, let me be a bit challenging you, because now with the AI, things are moving faster. When you say, hey, let's compare it to Figma, Canva, it's a different decade.
Yes.
And it's a different speed. And maybe it's not years anymore, 5-6 years, maybe 18 months.
Yes, I totally agree with you. In fact, I for me, all the tasks that I used to do has gone down from weeks down to days down to hours. And sometimes I actually tell my team, we are too slow. However, there are a few things there. I still think that there is still a big amount of discovery that needs to be done to really understand what the problem for an accountant is, okay, in the ERP system. There is still a lot of what I called, because the ERP is not just a financial module, it's also something that gives you some insights about the business. So most of the ERPs today, they do a lot of what I call structured, highly transactional data, but they do very little about unstructured data to look for insights. So there is still a gap in the AI space where people still do not know how to treat unstructured data. So I think, okay, there's still some things that are not that great. Some things are moving faster than the rest. We should use tools for those who are moving faster to be faster. Mm-hmm. But there are certain things where I think there still needs to be some time, like for example, production code. Anybody can do vibe coding, I'm pretty sure now. But when you want to take that code into production, you need to change the way how you do software development. We did that. in the company. We didn't just say, let's go back standard DevOps, Jira. We said, okay, now if something works through vibe coding, how do we turn it into a cursor rule for DevOps to pass through? That amount of how to bring yourself into an AI first company, that is probably that time that you're talking about, that you want to push it down in terms of ops. But the longer term picture of building a great company can be within 2 to 4 years. Maybe it will be shortened. Maybe I think if Figma were to be built today, probably it's 2 years.
Yes.
But I still think that you still need to, maybe Jeff puts it correctly, you need to invent and wonder sometimes.
Yeah, actually, you were talking about putting in production a product that's created by AI, and I was thinking about the risk. And in financial institute, there is no tolerance for risk.
Correct.
And they have to have the kill switch.
Yes, of course, the kill switch.
Do you have it or the customer have it for your product?
Of course, it's the customer and I both must have 2 different kill switch. The customer must be able to know where the error come from. Because we know today, out of 100 AI agent calls, there will be 1 AI agent call goes wrong, right? One of the things actually was kind of
the road.
It could become a product, and actually my team's been trying to get me to do it as a product. So we actually do an audit trail of what the agent is doing in the background, and we created this very nice interface. And actually, the original intention was no. It's like we have done this. This is the information we extract. We will fill this information, and actually for us, it's because what if, like you said, right, in financial accounting something goes wrong, right? We actually put a second agent. It's called the reflection design pattern, where you can actually look at the first agent's work and say, no, this is wrong. You have to redo this again. We put an audit trail because, as you said, financial is a kill switch situation. So the first thing is I need to have a kill switch where my customers can go back and make the reversion. So that's the first thing. The second kill switch is maybe a large language model. Maybe it's the part where we orchestrate the agentic workflows. There's a software bug somewhere, and then we need to stop it from doing that. That is the second kill switch, but that is only in accordance with my customer. What I mean by that is the customers must give me a permission, like a landing zone, for me to go in to check.
It's gonna access.
Yeah, it's access point, so that we have this particular staging zone where we will do all the bug fixing.
Yeah, like sandboxing.
Yeah, sandboxing, got it. And then we push it into production. So production is a tough thing. So we have to be pretty mindful about that. But if you were to ask me, I think it's a hybrid. Obviously, the customer must have the kill switch because it's their data, it's their financial workflow. So I would try to make sure that they are able to stop anything if necessary. Yeah, that's how my current thinking is. It may evolve, but I think for pragmatic reasons, I think that's the best.
And they have any concerns when you are explaining that?
This is the part where the problem market fit happens, where the customer says, oh, you mean that your AI OCR only works in my cloud, my data is there, and you don't see anything? And they were like, okay, I'm willing to buy this.
Okay.
That's the most important. It's actually the security of the data. It's not even about whether how fanciful my AI can do cut and paste, but actually the real concern for them is I don't want my data to be an AI OCR training data.
It's also from governance, compliance, and other things.
Yeah, I think about that all the time actually. To design a company is easy, but to design a good company with proper governance is hard. Yeah,
it's sometimes people are disillusioned by the magic of this stuff, but not caring most about the security. And because it's so easy to use.
Correct. Right? I showed the audit trail to the CFO and she was like, oh, you can track that. And I was like, yeah, well, of course. In case something goes wrong, you will call me for sure. Yeah, and how do I resolve that?
It's enterprise readiness,
Yeah.
You cannot create a product without understanding the enterprise readiness.
So I credit the 12 years of wilderness in the corporate world that taught me about things like making sure enterprise readiness. How do you make sure enterprise adoption? What do they really look for? Those lessons, I think, maybe at that point in time, it's like, why are they doing it that way? But then now I'm like, yeah, I think that's how they think about it. I can sit in their shoes and I know exactly what they're thinking.
That's awesome. So let's shift gears a little bit to your podcast, Analyse Asia.
Yeah.
450
95
episodes.
Yeah.
Yep. subscribers 180,000 or is it
189,000.
Yeah, it's going up thousands per week at this point.
Yes.
This is insane. Insane.
Makes me want to just pack up shop and go home.
No.
But, no,
podcasting is a non-zero sum game. I always tell podcasters.
What do you mean by that?
I always think that podcasting, if somebody listens to my show and your show happens to be on because we share the same form of guests and speakers, people also listen to your show.
Yeah.
So that's why the American podcasting system was working so well. It's because of all the recommendations that's going on.
Yeah.
And what I discovered through, even as a podcast listener, let's say I listen to one US podcast and I really like to listen to this speaker again, I'll go to another podcast with this speaker on. And I
do the same.
Yes.
I do the same.
You do the speaker search.
Yes.
Yeah, the speaker search, right?
Yeah.
So essentially, that's how discovery works. And what I think in Asia we are really short of now is this particular network of podcasts where we don't recycle our guests, which makes our life much more, the way for us to growth hack is much, much more difficult.
It's happening also in Israel, by the way. I'm thinking
The
about
recycle
guests.
Yeah. No, I think it's a strategy, right?
Yeah,
Like it's
but it's a strategy that we all don't adopt. And then, so
I don't think it's a nod. I think it's coming to like the situation of how to do it and stuff like that.
Yes,
Like,
yes,
you know,
we're
we talked
discussing about that.
Like how do we do it? But so what has been the learning from you and doing this for so long when it comes to kind of how you feel about Asia and what you're trying to do is, I think educate the market on Asia, right? Mm-hmm. I'm sure you have international listeners all over the place and kind of highlight that there's people and things and businesses happening here. Like, was that the goal of it? And how do you think it's going to kind of raise that specter some?
The original intent is to educate people about Asia, business, tech, and media, right?
Yeah.
And as I go on the trip, I discovered that actually I don't need to hit many people. I just want to hit the people that matters. So one of the kind of intangible benefits of doing a podcast for so long is that I started getting Fortune 500 companies where they have their global leadership offsites in Singapore. I became a keynote speaker.
Yeah.
That's also where I can find customers as well on there, right? And then US think tank starts to reach out to me because they want to understand Southeast Asia. They also want to understand East Asia because I also cover China and Taiwan. So I've kind of become a gateway to how people know about the space. By the way, there was one of the best ones was a hedge fund called me and I was wondering why. And they said, okay, we just want to know, is Grab real? Do people actually ever use your app? And that whole 30 minutes call was, I listen to your podcast. I always hear about Grab, and then I'm trying to do an analysis of them. And then it's like, is Lazada real too? I say, of course it's real. You want me to just show you? So I over the video call, I actually have to open up the Lazada app. See, this is exactly like Amazon. Yeah. And then it's like, oh yeah, we were thinking of,
Why? They can check that themselves.
No, because they want to get alpha information. That means they want to know maybe there's something that's not really true in the story, or they hear like when people think about Asia, could be people grifting, could be all this is all fake growth and all that kind of thing. So they want like something tangible. So I find that I become sort of like a due diligence.
That's funny.
Guy.
Contact person to verify the information.
Yes, I was once asked to say, so Grab is going to do the spec. What do you think? I was like, oh yeah, they're going to do the specs with Breglessness, Automator Group and all that. Oh yeah, they are real. They're in each of the market. They have a competitor. So I think one of the things that I feel at least the podcasts have done is educating people about our region. Much better, and also getting all these like very interesting questions that people ask.
What's your wishful thinking about this future of your podcast?
Well, I wish it was a brand. I wish I can have much more in-depth conversations. I'm talking to Michael Smith and can hear this. I can tell Smithy privately already. I'm planning a rebrand after episode 500. Want to change a little small name of the podcast, but intending more for a global outreach. So one of the
in Asia.
Okay, maybe I will tell you one of the things I really thought about. When I first started the podcast, I benchmarked myself against the US podcast. So
Such as, give us an example.
At that point in time, there was The Critical Path by Simcoe. There was Carol Swisher, her first podcast, The Decode. And then there was a lot of others. And then, of course, now you have 20VC, you have all this. But I still benchmark against them because these are the best of the best. if I don't beat them, then there is no market for me. And and through that process, I discovered that I grew to 40% of US audience. Yeah, this is a real data point. 40% of Analyse Asia's audience are from the US.
Yeah. Yeah, ours is not that big, but it's a big chunk as well.
It's
not a lot in Singapore for us, actually, which was...
Correct.
And what would you do different looking back after 400 and
I think
almost 500?
I think a few things. You have to go for very important guests that matters. Horace Dediu was...
How you define it, I guess, that matter?
Okay, a lot of people ask me, how do you manage to get Benedict Evans all the time? This is true story. I wrote to him via LinkedIn, and turns out that Benedict Evans and I share a common alumnus. We are both alumnus of Cambridge University, and this is the first time I told everybody Cambridge mattered. Yeah. Every time it doesn't matter. He was the only alumni who actually said, "Great, let's do it." Yes.
Okay.
And then we built up a friendship, and I got him on the show. Similarly, Horace Dediu was very kind. He just said, "I'll do it," and at that point, I was relatively super small.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I also get very lucky mentions. I was a fan of Acquired when they first started. So Ben, David, they mentioned my show and said, when doing the episode on Tencent, they said, you should listen to Bernard's Analyse Asia podcast. We listened to it.
Wow.
Yeah. So those kind of recommendations become part of that flywheel for me. And that's why the funds are coming to me and say, is this real? You know, we're thinking of coming to look at this company. Would you?
But it takes time, right? You've been at it, arguably.
Yeah, it takes a long time.
More than a few years.
I also tell you, if you do this you want to do podcasting, right? One of the things you really have to do is perseverance.
Yeah.
Yeah, your first 50 episodes, you're already the top 4% of the market.
Is that still a valid stat?
Yes, it's valid. Yeah. It's still valid.
You're not there yet. 41.
Yeah, you're there. 9 more to go.
For me, I don't want to be the 4% of the market. I want to be happy with what I'm doing.
Yes.
Like this number doesn't.
Yeah, but this is where we're
no, actually, I didn't thought about it until Harry Stebbings put it out into a post, and I was like, oh yeah, I should be thankful, but I actually enjoy what I do. Like what you say, right?
So I this is where and it's okay. I think we're just kind of skiing off the grid here. Like this is where him and I don't align, right? Which is okay, right? Like I can't solely do it for fun, right? And I think it would be. You know, I could ask this question about Dorje. If Dorje doesn't work, do you keep doing it? Now, you could say it's going to work, but you know what I'm saying? If you have a product and your product doesn't work in whatever, you know, and I think working means it has to grow.
Let me rephrase. I didn't say I'm doing it for fun. I said I want to have fun.
Oh, you want to have fun doing it. And I do too.
That's what I want.
But the interesting thing is...
That's
as you work on it like a product, like anything, it can be less fun when you're in the rigmarole of it, you know, like deep in it, which is where, and this is where I think people are missing what I think has been special about AI, right? And here's a perfect example. When I first started shipping episodes, I wasn't using much of the AI stuff because I was trying to learn everything. And by like the 4th or 5th episode, I'm sick of it because it's like typing all, you know, you were doing. And then I'm just like, oh, and the stuff hadn't gotten as good as it is today, right? And then now it's just like, producing something is that what I call it? It's just literally like you. I got all these prompts and transcripts, and I have a template and spits it out. You know, I still go look at it and edit it, but it takes out the grunt work thing to where I can spend more time on like cuts and finding and that's where I think when people kind of can't see AI or what's special about it, I'm like, as a human being wanting to do the fun stuff and the creative stuff and the learning, I now have this thing for literally only $30-40 a month that's doing all the grunt work for me, and it's made the more fun time more realistic. Like I can get to it faster. And this is what I think is what people like. If you're out there as like a general person and you're kind of thinking, you know, because honestly you're seeing all the crazy data center stuff and all this, you know, and AGI, whatever, like throw all that out and just start to realize that if you get in there and start using this stuff in whatever workflow you have, and you can find your patterns in your workflows and get better at the, whether you call it prompting or whatever, you don't have to be like amazing at it. You'll suddenly start to see where like kind of the rote stuff can be done so fast, right? That you get to the
and it can be
more fun stuff
and it
faster,
can be
right?
personalized.
Yeah.
It's for different.
I think one important thing, and I'm going to come back, one of the things I'm really passionate about Analyse Asia is about storytelling. And this has been, for me, when I get guests these days, I think about the story a lot. Let me just tell you, there was an episode on Netflix with the VP who greenlighted Squid Game. That entire process of getting her on the show was 9 months. But we actually work out the entire story
before she
before she gets it. And it was an amazing story to tell, right? Yeah. And it tells, actually, Netflix is doing some real good stuff in Asia Pac, taking all the content here and supercharge it and distribute across the world. That is an interesting story to tell.
Yep.
So nowadays, when I think about every episode, I'm thinking about my guest is, what is an interesting story for me to tell about this guest?
Yeah.
And that's all I'm doing. If you ask me, this is where the fun...
Yeah, you're trying to unlock
yeah.
them in front of these people, right? And
yeah.
And there's not enough of it, right? And I think that's where like I've gotten a few of the LinkedIn things or the DM where people think where they're saying, hey, it's great that you're trying to like, because we've had very less famous people in ours.
I watched the Generalists.
No, I'm saying like by design, there's
Correct.
just people that I think are interesting, but I don't think they're household names by any stretch, right? But they do have a narrative, a story to tell. And I'm thinking, and it's funny how they ping us and they go, hey, thanks for letting me put my story out there and it's in YouTube forever.
Yes.
And if they like the product,
Yeah.
So don't get me wrong. I know the whys of all this, but there's also this, you want to see it grow.
Yes.
Right? And statistically, we know what that means. Views, subscribers, like.
So I always encourage young podcasters. I share all the growth hacks with them. And I tell them, actually, the only thing that matters is how long you stay in the game. I don't know how many times I tell myself, I think I want to stop.
It's like a startup, don't
this.
die, right?
Yeah.
It's back to me, it's a very simple thing. Don't die.
Don't die,
Because
yeah.
if you do, it is done.
Correct.
And if you don't, it's going to keep going.
It actually happens to me almost 2 years ago until my wife finally just tells me, go video.
Yeah.
And I was resisting that for a very long time, and I see my numbers were declining, and it was declining. I was telling her, I can't grow hack. I ran out of ideas, and then she said, "Go video, watch what Jeremy is doing from Brave Southeast Asia." Then I started analyzing. It's like, okay, I'm going to try.
Yeah, and your YouTube growth's been
it started
ridiculous.
because I have the first guest was controversial. Yeah. Because I got the 3AC co-founder Carl Davis on the show, and even the New York Times went to talk about it, and then that's how I grow my traffic. Yeah. Everybody got to know
controversy.
Wow. Yeah, I got yelled at by people on Twitter for allowing him to platform him. Do you know that?
Say good wife, good life, man.
Yeah.
It's
so we got to get to our closers because we're time.
Sure.
But I just want to say, like, as wannabe podcasters, like, there's huge respect to you for like what you've done, the length of it, the kind of putting it on the map. And I say similar how Borko's kind of put this studio model on the map. I think without folks like you and like none of this would be happening for us or anybody else, right? So thanks for paving the way, and much success on that side of your endeavors. So
I'm looking forward to the 500 episode.
It'll be fun. Yeah, you can call me during it.
I'm going to call you.
Go ahead. You want to do it?
Yeah, do the first
All
one.
right, so we've rejiggered this one a little bit, so we'll test it on you because, what's one thing? Usually we say, hey, what's one thing you would tell your 20-year-old self? But we've been thinking more about this, and what we're saying is, like, what kind of life tenet have you learned at this point in life that you would share with any 20-year-old that you believe is gospel?
I think you have to learn and be curious, and do not think about whatever the rewards that come with the process of learning something, because a lot of things will start to compound. Maybe all the different things that you've been going around, the experimenting, you'll find that suddenly all comes together. Probably nobody knew this part of my history. I did theater when I was very young. I did theater production as a producer. And then when I was doing Analyse Asia, it all came back to me. And it helped me how to think about framing stories. Even in startup, startup to me is like a stage.
It's a narrative.
Yeah, it's a narrative. What's the narrative I need to craft? So that would be my advice.
It's a good one. Yeah, I like it.
What
Take
do
that
you
one
do?
to the bank.
For me, you're like super busy doing so many things. But what do you do to keep your mental and physical health?
Okay, so every day I would try to keep up to 10,000 steps. The current average is about 15,000 steps per day. Then I would do 30 minutes of reading and 5 minutes of just close my eyes and wandered off.
Do you put like a stopper?
No, I just wandered off. And actually, during walking is the best. So during my PhD, when I was doing theoretical physics, and I have to walk from my place to the lab. So it's 30 minutes of long walk. Because it's cold weather, so it's really great walking. I will usually think about a very difficult problem I'm trying to solve. And once I reach the lab, I'll be trying everything to solve. So the day would end good, bad. And then if I couldn't solve it, I walk back and think. Sometimes the answers come during those walks. And I still like doing
Endorphins. It's chemical.
Yeah.
Chemical is in our body.
Yeah. So those are the two things. Nowadays, I try to drink more matcha. That's probably keep myself healthy and making sure that...
How do you drink your matcha? In a tea, in a milk, in a bubble tea?
With oat milk. So just matcha, just, use the thing and skip it, etc. But I've gone back to coffee, but I'm going to go back to matcha now. So just trying to find the correct balance. And I try to... Okay, so one of the things we do between my wife and I, she's also an entrepreneur, pretty busy one. We both spend 7 to 9 with our kids. Yeah. Believe it or not, I spent the whole of Sunday with my son in a chess competition last week. And those kind of times with him, I think is important. I just want to also tell people, Rockefeller used to work from home 3 times a week. And he built a 850 billion empire. Yeah. So anyone can do it.
Yeah. You just got to be purposeful about your schedule and stuff like that.
Yeah, right? I think that's the most important.
I think I know people hate the whole like regimented schedules, but it's kind of the only way. It's like at work, people say like, "Oh, what's your?" And I said, "Look, it's like clockwork. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'm in the office. Tuesday, Thursday, I'm at home. Here's the days I book these kind of meetings. Here's the mornings that I do." And I know it sounds too regimented because people go, "Where's the free time?" I'm like, the free time is in the fact that when everything is scheduled and I get it done and nothing is scheduled. And that's, I love the whole discipline equals freedom mantra because it just keeps me on the straight and narrow, right?
But then I think you also need like a little bit of time, what they call personal time, to not just do some things that are out of the blue. Yeah, I don't know, but I do have this blockout time where I just go to explore things on Udemy, learning some new stuff. So it's just to sort of keep
sometimes
myself.
you even have to block giving yourself that time because something will come in and grab it, right?
Totally agree. I listen to the poker stuff. Out of the blue. I had to say, okay, stop everything. And I
jump into poker.
George and I had to see the...
For me, it's chess.com now.
To play,
Yeah, because I need to up my level before my son trash me in the next game.
Competition from your own kids. Give us one thing you've read lately that you'd like to share.
Okay, there are 2 books actually. One is How Not to Invest by Barry Ritholtz. I like that book because it's the first time I actually think about what I've done for investing over the last 20 years, and I finally seen what are the mistakes I've made written in front of me. So that's the first one. The second one,
it's a good one. I think he reads his own audio version of it.
Correct.
On Audible.
And it's investing in general, or
no? It's actually so one of I'll just give
it's
one
very short chapters. It's these bite-sized,
it's like a blog post, bite-sized advice. So you don't have to read it every day. You just read. Okay, so I have that 30 minutes reading every day. So I was reading it and I was trying to internalize some of the lessons from the book. And I thought it was actually, he was quite right. Like, when should you take money off the table? That's probably one important lesson. And a lot of people, this is apparently only less than 5% people really know. And the ones who really knows how to do it.
So this Ritholtz Wealth Management is Compound and Friends, Animal Spirits, Talk Your Book.
Yes.
And then Barry's got a podcast on Bloomberg. And then every 10 years, he kicks out a book, right?
Yes. And then there's the second book, which is most likely going to be my top book of the year. So every year I'll have a top book. Last year was A Conflict of Visions by Thomas Sowell. That's presumably one of the best books I've read. This year, now the current top one is The Half-Life of Facts.
Half-life effects. I have not.
Yes. So this is recommended by, actually, funny, every time Mark Andreessen recommends a book, becomes my favorite book of the year. It's by coincidence in the last 3 years in a row. But what is interesting about half-life effects is basically looking at, so we talk about scientific truths, right? So apparently for physics, the half-life of physics theories are actually 300 over years. The half-life for, say, chemistry, biology is of a certain time. So what it's saying is that a lot of things that you think about, like maybe in sociology, maybe in medicine, they are all facts, but they all have a half-life because something will come and replace it. So try not to be too dogmatic and take things as conventional wisdom. So I thought that was a very good book to read.
Be willing to change your mind.
Yeah.
Well, Bernard, thanks for doing this.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, we're looking forward to your 500th episode, which is just epic. And hopefully we'll do another this week in Asia.
I am pretty sure the 500 episode will be in Potsdam.
All right. Got it. Well, this is great. Thanks for doing it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck with the business.
Good.
All right.
Thank you.